Hey students. All right, so we are now on section 4.4. The title for our section 4.4 is adding and subtracting rational expressions. Remember, we kind of broke it up for you guys. On 4.3, you were asked to find the common denominator, but right now we're going to use that skill to keep on moving, okay? So here we go. It says, we know that to add or subtract two fractions, we need to first get a common denominator. Once you have a common denominator, you can just add or subtract the top to the top, okay? And that means the tops are called numerators. Now, in a little bit, when we go through these examples, write down the step you should take to get the least common denominator. Remember, we studied 4.3 notes already, okay? So let's go to your example 1. Add or subtract each set of rational expressions by finding the least common denominator first. State any restrictions or excluded values. Again, refer to your 4.3 notes if you need to have a refresher on how to find the LCD. As you remember how to find the least common denominator, we will first need to start factoring, okay, your denominator. Factor out your denominators. Okay, so on first fraction, 5 over 2x squared plus 5x minus 3, you can factor however you wish, okay? Some of you guys factor using your x like this. I'll just run through this very quickly. You have 2x squared here times negative 3, that's negative 6x squared. We have a b value of negative 5, so we are going to write it like this. That gives us a negative 6. To find two factors, multiply equals negative 6. And also at the same time, add up to 5. So that will give us 6 and negative 1. And then some of you said, okay, well, I can rewrite all of that back, okay? Now, instead of writing 5x in the middle, I could write negative 1x plus 6x, and then drop down your minus 3. Then we factor by grouping. The first two terms, we have an x in common, so now we have 2x minus 1. The last two terms, we will take out a 3, and then we end up with 2x minus 1. As you can see, our factors for the first denominator is x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. Okay. Then we will do the same factoring for the second denominator. We again take out an x squared for that first two terms. We are going to end up with 2x minus 1, take out a 5. So we have 2x minus 1, okay? So as you can see, we will put those together, x squared plus 5 times 2x minus 1. So I'm just going to rewrite everything, but now with the denominators being factored out. So 5 over, your factors are x plus 3 times 2x minus 1, add x plus 2 over, your factors for your denominators are these. Okay, next we look at each, okay? Look at these factors and look at these factors. And we say, okay, well, let's now find the LCD. Since x plus 3, it's all by itself on both sides, it will definitely be part of the LCD. Next, we have 2x minus 1, 1 on each. Since it is 1 on each, we would just have to take 1. We don't take them both, okay? And then our last factor that we haven't looked at is x squared plus 5. And again, that's all by itself. So the rule of thumb is that if it's all by itself, students, then you take it and put it part of your LCD. So x squared plus 5. And then if it's 1 here and 1 here, it's also part of your LCD. So your next step really is going to be writing the LCD back identical to each side, just like this, okay? So write it again. Once you get really good, then you can skip steps. but the first couple of times, write all of it out, okay? So now let's write down. First, we factored out only the denominators, then find the LCD. Step number 3, rewrite the LCD for each fraction. So if you have 3 fractions adding together, then you write 3 times. But if you only have 2 in our case, then we just write it twice. Okay, so now let's zoom in and see what's happening. So on the top, we have an x plus 3, which we have it here. We have an 2x minus 1, which we have it here. So what's missing is this right here, okay? We just went in and multiplied this denominator with that extra piece. So whatever we multiply to the denominator, we now have to multiply to the numerator, okay? Now let's go over here. This x squared plus 5, it's already there, okay? This 2x minus 1 is right there. So this second fraction, student, is missing an x plus 3. So we go in and multiply the numerator by an x plus 3. So whatever you multiply to the bottom, you multiply to the top. Since the LCD, students, are now identical from both fractions, we can add the top together. But now we are going to rewrite one denominator only, since they are identical. And now we just add the top together. But before we add the top, we need to FOIL these out. Okay, so we got 5x squared plus 25. Over here, x times x is going to be x squared. So we will add x squared. X times 3x is going to give us 3x. 2 times x is going to give us 2x. I need to extend my fraction bar a little longer. And 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. So let's see if you can combine like terms on the top. The bottom, let's copy it back down. Let me move it up for a second. X plus 3, 2x minus 1, x, oops, that does not look like an x squared. X squared plus 5. Okay, on the top, we have 5x squared and 1 more, so that would make it 6x squared. We have 5 x's together here, so plus 5x. 25 and a 6, that will give us 31. Now, before we do anything else, guys, we have to state the exclusions, okay? And the exclusions are always the values from the LCD. So we take each factor and we set it equal to 0. So clearly this one is going to give us -3. I'm going to write not equal soon. This one will give us 1/2. If we solve for this one, we go x squared equals -5, students. And when we do a square root, it's an imaginary number, so we don't need to worry about this one. So right now, your excluded values are 2 only, and we only exclude real numbers, not imaginaries, okay? Now, the one kicker is we have to see if the numerator, students, are factorable. Okay, so 6 times 31, students, is going to be 186. In the middle, we are going to write 5. So the factor of 186, well, since we just used 6 times 31, clearly it's not going to add up equal to 5, okay? So we're going to do 186, students. It's going to be an even number, so we can definitely try 93. So 2 times 93, not 5 when we add them together. 186, the next is we want to try 3, and that's going to be 62. Not going to happen. 186 divided by 4. It's going to be a fraction, so that's not going to be possible. 5 doesn't go in there. And then 6, we got 31. And that's about it. And none of that's going to add up to equal to 5. So therefore, we can just go and box this up. Let me use this color. But as you can see, we box up the exclusion. We box up this only after we check to see if the numerator is also factorable. So let's write down the rest of the steps, okay? So we rewrite the LCD for each fraction. And then the next step, whatever we multiply to the denominator, we multiply to the numerator, okay? Multiply numerator the same value as denominator. And then step number 5, add or subtract the top. Okay, that means numerator. And then last one, state LCD. Not state the LCD, state exclusions. Exclusions. Okay. And then lastly, before you box it up, check to see if numerator is factorable. Check to see if numerator is factorable to cancel. Okay. In our case, it wasn't factorable to cancel.